everyone, it's me, Beatty Kelly Sunflower. So I thought I'd hop on today and do a video response to Courtney, and her channel is called Eries Witchcraft. And the name of the hashtag is hashtag Tarot in Wonderland. So there's 12 questions that are kind of Alice in Wonderland themed. So let's crack on. Question 1. What deck sent you down the rabbit hole? For me, it would have to be this one, the Housewife Tarot, a domestic divination kit. So this deck was actually gifted to me, I think when it first came out, as a joke, because people knew that I was into tarot. That time I was just into reading Rider-Waite-Smith kind of decks, you know, US game sort of decks. So, you know, it was assumed that this deck was like a gimmick deck. So this is supposed to be an imitation of a recipe box, and then you get the book and you get the major and minor arcanas in there. The minor arcana suit is color coded. So let's just show you some of the major cards. But so what it is with this deck, when I started reading this deck, it was so accurate, yeah, that it started me down the rabbit hole of deck collecting, because, you know, prior to me having this deck, I was just having usual, you know, Pamela Colman Smith decks, and this deck was quite different to those sort of decks, and I just thought it wouldn't read well. So question 2 is, what deck makes you smile like a Cheshire cat? And it have to be this deck here. This deck is a major only deck, and it's called Wang's Crystal Clear Major Arcana. The kind of large cards, but I like the kind of cat faces, like, you know, like the Empress Hot Bitch. So every time I use this deck, I just can't stop laughing. So the 4, it says watch where you are going. I mean, it gives you some upright meanings, but one of them that makes me funny is be careful not to fall off the cliff. Then this is the Tower, you know, nuclear war, global warning, Trump. The Star, go to the spa. Daddy issues for the Emperor. It's just funny. Neglect my bubble. Go, go, go. It's just funny. Feel your feelings. You have everything you need. You know, it's just got funny keywords on there. And this deck, you know, every time I use it, it just makes me smile and laugh. What is your favourite Dee and Tweedle Dum decks? This is a tarot deck with a matching oracle. So I've got a couple that I'm going to show you. My recent favourites are the Textured Tarot and the Original Life design cards. Weave a Different Story, and they're both by Lisa McLaughlin Art. Let's take them out and show you them side by side. Okay, so I've just got this deck, Original Life design cards, but they're created by the same author. Even though the backs are kind of different, they're very kind of similar in my mind. But I just like the artwork. I think they work well together in terms of the aesthetic, and I also like the keywords on this one. So I'll just show you some cards. So others might not agree, but to me, they work very well together in terms of colour palette. Oops, these are the free cards that I got in my Kickstarter campaign for this one. I just love them. So the second Dee and Tweedle Dum decks are the Stretch Tarot and the Stretch Normand, and they're both by Joseph Stretch. So let's show a few cards from these decks. So I do love a Lenormand, and sometimes if I'm doing like a detailed private reading, I will read tarot and Lenormand decks together. And you know, even though the kind of background is kind of different, I mean, this is more on a newspaper, vintage newspaper, the actual archetypes to me are kind of similar. They're kind of vintagey in feel, but these do work well together in a reading. Let's show you a few more. So this is the Stretch Tarot and the Stretch Lenormand. So question 4. Which is your Queen deck? This deck became your nemesis after buying it. I would say that it has to be this one, which is the Cosmos Tarot, and it's by Cosmopolitan. This deck to me was a really big disappointment. I pre-ordered it, and I was kind of waiting anxiously for it to arrive, and then when it came, unfortunately, I was very disappointed. The guidebook is just very basic. Minions are okay, but my big disappointment really was the cards. Some of them, you know, the actual images don't match the meaning of the card. I mean, the High Priestess, I'm not understanding how, okay, mysterious maybe, but I'm not understanding how that would be the High Priestess. It's just a very difficult, to me, deck to read, and I was very, very disappointed because I thought Cosmopolitan, you know, I used to read the magazine when I was, you know, in my late teens, early 20s, and I thought it'd be like a very kind of fashion conscious deck, maybe with clothes, shoes, you know, that sort of thing. And then when this deck came, I must admit I was very disappointed. The only good thing about this deck is the colour coordination in the suit, you know, like so the caps have got blue on it. The major arcana black with kind of this pinkish peach background. I would have put the wands really as red rather than green. The swords are red, so even the colouring's a bit off, but at least they're colour coded. But this deck was a big disappointment, unfortunately for me, and it's a very difficult to read deck because the artwork doesn't match up with my meanings that I've assigned to each card. Question 5. What is your Drink Me deck? And then smallest cards. And it has to be this deck here. I can't actually remember what it's called. It's a major only deck. I bought it on Etsy quite a while ago. They're in the shape of a coffin, but they're really, really small. Let me compare it to a regular RWS card. Look how small that is compared to an RWS card. And if I compare it to a mini tarot deck, so let's get my Radiant Wise mini deck, which is one of the smallest cards. Look, this card is absolutely tiny, or this deck, but I can't remember what it's called. But I did buy it from a supplier on Etsy. If I do find it, I will link it in the description bar. Okay, so question 6 is, what is your Eat Me deck's biggest cards? And I'd have to go with the Universal Tarot by Lascarabo and the Giant Rider-Waite Smith deck. This is a US Games. So let me open them up and take out a few cards for you. Okay, so the US Games one comes with plaid backs, and this is the Lascarabo deck. I think the Lascarabo deck could be actually, yeah, it's bigger. The Lascarabo deck is, can you see, it's longer than the US Games. But if I just show you some of the images. So this is a Lascarabo deck. So you've got the Chariot. So it's not named, it's just numbered. So this is the Three of Pentacles or the Three of Queens. Four of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles. And the US Games one has got, you know, the archetype named underneath it. So these are my Eat Me decks, or biggest cards. But I think this deck, looking at them side by side, is actually bigger than the US Game deck. Okay, so question 7 is, you're late, very important late. What deck gave you FOMO anxiety before you got your hands on it? And it has to be this one, which is the Divine Portal Yonu Oracle. So this deck, I actually ordered it on Indiegogo, and it didn't actually meet its funding. So that's what I think was the start of this FOMO anxiety. So I was religiously kind of looking for updates on Indiegogo, and it just took ages to come, and there was little updates on the progress of the deck. So when it did come a year later, this card has got some inappropriate content. It's just different pictures of different types of vaginas. It didn't come with a guidebook, so it was really difficult to kind of read with. It did come with I think just some cards saying, you know, what the deck was for, but it wasn't a guidebook. So I couldn't read this deck, and I kept on trying to contact the creator, and she was saying that she was having problems printing the guidebook because of the content of, you know, of the deck being vaginas and stuff. And then finally, after 2 years, the actual guidebook came. I think this could be from Lulu Self-Publishing, but it's got you know, it gives descriptions to the cards. It gives you the element, the stones, the ritual, even some tarot associations. So now I can use this deck. But for 2 years, I had deck FOMO because I just couldn't read of it, and the creator, in my opinion, didn't really, you know, update us as to what was going on. And because it didn't meet its funding on Indiegogo, I was just a little bit worried. Question 8 is, what queen, colourful and light-hearted? So I would have to choose my Brian deck. This is like an oracle deck. So Brian is the spirit guide of the person that created this deck, Rihanna Faulkner. And he's just funny. I mean, yellow in general makes me happy. So I like the fact that it's got yellow borders. And just the words of this deck, you know, he's just funny. Yeah, so this is what this is my light-hearted deck. Okay, so question 9 is, show me a deck with artwork as mad as a hatter. And I've got 2 decks, one oracle and one tarot deck. So let's start off with the oracle deck. This is called Elvine Attica Sparman Podcast. This artwork is funny to me. You know, comfortable to grow. It's just like an affirmation deck with very kind of hilarious affirmations, and the artwork to me is also quite mad. Failure is always an option. Doors will not open by themselves. It's just quite a hilarious kind of oracle deck. Never forgive. That's kind of very ten of swordsy. Open your eyes. Your life is filled with abundance. It's just funny. So this is the oracle deck. And the tarot deck with artwork, but it's as mad as a hatter, in my opinion. Oops, I need to get a bag for this. Is the Badass Tarot by Hayley Spencer, or Harley. This is actually handmade, hand cut, this edition. But look at the artwork. It's just mad. Let's see. It took me a while to read this deck, but I can now read of it because, you know, this deck doesn't come with a guidebook, which was quite annoying because sometimes artists create these really wacky, way off decks, and then they expect you to be able to read their mind. I always think there should be a guidebook with a deck that's not conventional, or it's got kind of wacky artwork, so you can kind of understand where the artist is coming from. So this is a badass tarot. Then 10 is, what deck would you take to a tea party with you? And I've chosen two, an oracle called Flowers of Love and soul cards. So the reason why I would choose this one, this is quite an old deck, I don't even know if it's in print, is because most garden parties that I go to take place in people's gardens or outside in greenery. So I think it'd be nice just to look at some cards. So these are kind of cards of flowers, and then they give you keywords. So like the rose, eternal passion; jasmine, sweet sensuality; the orchid, umbrage, eroticism; iris, satisfied desire. It'd just be nice to talk about flowers and divination keywords that are attached to them. This is just a good deck to link divination to flowers. Now the soul cards, I think these are soul cards 1, so let's just take them out. But everyone who I've shown these cards to, they see something differently. So to me, I see this as a woman holding like a toddler. She's got wings, so she could be an angel, but somebody else could see that completely different. Many hands holding an egg. But people tend to see these cards differently. So it'd be good to take these to a tea party so we can discuss what we see in each card and what we feel that these cards mean to us. Okay, so question 11 is Jabbawokee deck. This deck is dark and mysterious, and I've chosen this one, the Silver Era Tarot. It's a Cheshire deck, and I think it's devised by husband and wife, and I think they're the only people on these cards, which I find quite creepy actually. But yeah, I think it's the same person on all of the cards, and I think the coloration, the strangeness of the deck, I think that's the husband. So I think it's husband and wife on each of the cards. So the strangeness of the deck, the darkness, and the theme to me makes this deck quite dark and mysterious. Silver Era Tarot. The last question is, show me your Alice decks. So I've got 3 decks to show you. The first one is the Macmillan Alice pack of cards. So these are playing cards. I haven't done playing card readings for quite a while because I've been using Lenormand more. But these are just, you know, playing cards. Cheshire cats at the back. And they're just Alice in Wonderland themed. So I do tend to reach out for this, even though I haven't reached out for it recently, if I'm doing playing card divination. I don't use this for playing card games because I'm a bit possessive with my playing cards that I do use for divination. So Macmillan Alice pack of cards, that's my first Alice deck. So my second Alice deck is Tarot in Wonderland, I think it is. I've put it in the bag that you could get. I think this is a Lascarabel deck. These are the backs. Or was it Llewellyn? I can't remember which one it is, but it came with a guidebook a few years ago. I quite like this deck. It's not a deck that I've reached out to recently, but I do remember when I did use it quite a lot, I enjoyed it. But I might revisit this deck actually. It's beautiful. So this is Tarot in Wonderland Tarot. And my last Alice deck is called Alice the Wonderland Oracle. And this is a Lucy Cavendish deck, and Jasmine Beckett Griffin is the artist. And it's just oracle cards, which I'll show you. I actually like the keywords in this deck, and this would have been another deck, Tweedle Dum deck, to pair with my Tarot in Wonderland. These two make quite a good pairing. But as I said before, I haven't used them for quite a while, so I tended to, I showed you for that prompt, the ones that I've been using recently. So this is a really good oracle deck. So thank you so much, Courtney. I will add links to the tarot decks showcased. See you in my next video. Bye for now.